Morning peeps, good morning everyone, how's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe. Your boy is back and it is good to be back as well. The break in America was very nice, very much needed, but it's always good to be back home. Shout out to Ak for hosting me. His studio setup is very good, very good. I'm definitely going to steal a few ideas from his setup. He had a WBC belt in the background. We're not going to put a WBC belt in the studio, but we are going to maybe get a belt. I was thinking of a Ring Magazine belt. I love the British title, so we can reach out to the British Boxing Board of Control, see if we can get one of those. I'm definitely going to put next to Mike Tyson a Marvin Hagler photo. There was a photo I saw the other day that I really like. So yeah, we're going to work on a few things on the studio. But yeah, it's good to be back. Let's jump straight in and see what there is to talk about. I do want to do another live. We might do a live this week. I'm thinking Thursday or Friday. I'll let you guys know in the community tab. And the next live watch along is, what's the next big fight? Joe Joyce, Zhili Zhang, 23rd of September. So that's the next live watch along, but I'll let you guys know before we get there anyway. All right, Chris Eubank Jr., what I've learned over the years, you have to take all the percentages you can get. Before we talk about that, how wild was it to hear that Bomac got arrested, I think it was Manchester Airport, for trying to take a gun through customs? How fucking wild is that? There's so many things here, like, we have to try and understand. Firstly, did he bring a gun into the country? Or did he get a gun here and think it's okay just to take a gun back to America? Do you know how crazy that is? You know how crazy the gun culture is in America for someone to think that they can just take a gun through customs? Wild. I don't know what's going to happen with Bomac. Hopefully it's just a weird misunderstanding and he had no idea. But again, I need to understand, did he pick up a gun in Manchester? Because how the fuck did he get a gun through customs in the first place? That's crazy. But look, back to Chris Eubank Jr. Look, it was a good performance. It was a good performance. I don't want to get overly excited with the performance. I thought it was sort of perfect from a Eubank standpoint. And what I mean is that I think we've all wanted to think that Chris Eubank can do and pull out a performance like that. Like, he's always had sort of the natural ability, but we just wanted him to put it all together. And he finally did that. And look, I think on the one hand, I'm really excited for what next for Chris Eubank, and we'll talk about that very quickly. But on the other hand, I'm like, you're 33. I felt like he's always had this. Like, if he were to have aligned himself with a top trainer very, very early, who knows what Chris could have done? Who knows? I mean, I think he definitely could have won a world title. I don't count the IBOs winning one, but he definitely could have won a legit world title. But look, he's there. It's the biggest win of his career, and no doubt now there'll be big fights next for him, big money fights. Whether or not that's Conor Benn, which I know people are still pissed off about. The only issue, and the reason I mentioned the Conor Benn one is because obviously, look, it's a big money fight, and Eubank, we know, likes his money, as he should. But it's just there's not that many great fights in the 160 division. There isn't. And I think we've seen when Chris went up to 168 when he fought George Groves all those years ago, he's quite small for that division. Like, the guys are very, very big. So look, we'll see what happens with Chris, but good luck to him. It was a big win, and again, he's going to get paid in his next fight. Jamel Charlo explains that it's tough to transform body into super middleweight. It's tough to do it correctly. Like, a lot of people say, yeah, just, he doesn't have to cut that much weight anymore. It's a bit more scientific than that. Because in an ideal world, he wants to be literally as strong as humanly possible at 168. And he's that at 154. Again, me having experienced and a very small side of it, the weight cut, you want to feel like you are very, very strong at the lightest weight possible. Like, I felt very strong at 175, but I knew I could get my body down to 168. And Jamel's so used to getting his body down to 154, he's almost got that method down to a T where he knows, look, if I get down to 154, I know I am going to be a monster in the ring at 175. So he's got to make sure that's the same thing at 168. Like, it's not just a case of, okay, I weighed 168. It's like, I've got to be as strong as humanly possible at 168. So, yeah, they've got to get it down to a T. I'm sure he's got a good S&C trainer, nutritionist that will make sure that he is as good as he can be at that weight class. AJ could return in December if Wilder fight gets pushed back. Again, crickets with this Wilder fight. I haven't really spoken about it for a couple of weeks because I hoped that we would have had some information, something to talk about rather than me just making up information, and we've had nothing. I'm actually seeing AJ in about 4 or 5 hours. I'm doing something with him and KSI for DAZN, and I'm going to ask him the question of what's going on. But yeah, it doesn't look like we're going to get an announcement of AJ Wilder for this year. Maybe sort of in the first quarter of next year, which is disappointing. But the good thing is AJ wants to get 3 fights in this year. That's something he's always spoken about, and it looks like it will happen. And you just want to stay busy. If you're AJ, you just want to stay active, and you want the competition to get better all the time. I do wonder who they will fight. I mean, there's some good names out there in the heavyweight division. It's not just about the top 4 or 5 guys. Look, in an ideal world, your Fury, your Usyk, your AJs, you get it on, but there's some good fights out there, regardless. So we'll see what AJ does. Errol Spence, Terence Crawford to get it on again. Errol Spence invokes rematch clause. Okay, this hasn't really been officially confirmed. There's a couple of things to talk about with this, actually. Firstly, Errol Spence hasn't said anything. I always follow Errol Spence closely on social media. He hasn't said anything. No one seems to have said anything. Espinoza, no one seems to have said anything from that side. The only reason we know this information is because Bomac mentioned it in an interview. Look, it's always the fight to make next. There wasn't an obvious candidate for Terence Crawford in the 147 division. Jaron isn't really that, not yet, not at this stage of Terence's career. There's not an obvious fight at 154, and Terence has been talking about going to 168. I mean, I like it. I like the idea of it, but I think it makes more sense to maybe roll this one again at 154. You maybe do it. I mean, you put rematch clauses in there for a reason. Some of you might say, well, 1 second, it was a one-sided beatdown, and maybe you are correct. Although watching that fight back, Errol did have some good spots in it. Terence was just better. But you can sort of use the excuse about the weight. You can talk about other things in the camp. Maybe the camp didn't go well. And the reason I mentioned that is because I saw something yesterday about Errol leaving Derek James. Again, I don't know if these are rumors because no one's spoken about them. No one said anything. I'll ask AJ. But I saw that as well. And I'd be very, very shocked if it's happened. But if it has happened, it might speak to bigger things about problems in the camp. Again, these are all just small little excuses we can make to try and sell the fight at 154. Problems in the camp, problems with the weight. We're going to do it again. But yeah, I think you'll do it again. I think there's a lot of money to be made. I think there still will be some interest from boxing fans. Will it be as big as the first one? Maybe not, but it'll still be big. And again, if you're Terence and you want to fight this year, and I think he does want to fight this year, you're not just going to sit around. You want to stay active. I mean, you want to make some money, right? Terence, again, is 35, going to be 36. It's time to cash out. Sorry, it's time to make some big dough. So I think they will do the fight again, and I think it makes sense. I'll be very, very shocked about this split, though, between Errol and Derek James. Very shocked. But look, we'll see. We'll see what happens in the next sort of week or so. Bit here about Eddie Hearn saying Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn is absolutely huge. It is a big fight. I think it's very, very likely that this fight will happen next. I think very, very likely. I can see Conor just skipping this rumored September showdown and going straight into this one in December with Chris Eubank Jr. I can see it happening. But we'll see how it plays out, because obviously there's still this issue of Conor Benn and the British Boxing Board of Control and UKAD, which needs to be ironed out. Eddie Hearn on Taylor Catterall rematch. It's a huge fight. We'll do everything we can to make it. Sam Jones, who obviously manages Catterall, said something on his social media the other day that we're going to do this one with Linares, and then we've got a huge one in February. Maybe they're talking about this one. I think this fight could happen. Again, you look at the options. If you're Josh Taylor, and there's been a lot of talk about Josh going up to 147 to fight who? Who's he going to fight at 147? Who? Who's he going to fight at 147 that has the same interest in having, which has the same interest as a catchweight, even a catchweight fight? Like Josh Taylor versus Jack Catterall, because of how that fight played out, even if it's at 144, is a big fight over here. And it's a bigger fight than anything Josh can have at 147 for now. So I can see how that fight makes sense. Liam Smith wants Eubank trilogy. We're 1-1. That doesn't settle nothing for me. It certainly does, dude. I'm sorry, it does. It does. There's a difference between catching someone like the way Liam caught Eubank and what Eubank did on Saturday. So yes, in theory, it's 1-1. But Eubank beat up Liam Smith from round 1 to round 10, and the ref jumped in. Like so you got a sustained beatdown, and then Chris got the stoppage. There's a big difference between that and how the first fight played out. So yes, it's 1-1, but it's not really. It's not really at all. So that trilogy ain't happening. It's just not. It's a difficult sell. It's a difficult sell, and I don't think Eubank's going to want to do it. Eubank's going to want to move on. So Liam Smith's going to have to figure out what he wants to do. A bit here about Carl Froch said he was disappointed in Liam Smith's performance. I expected a lot more. We all did. We all did. This is now starting to heat up a little bit. And it's gone from being very nice and cordial to starting to, a little bit of a dig here. Canelo and Crawford. Other than Spence, I don't think he's beaten other great fighters. And it's weird. Canelo was giving Crawford a lot of plaudits, a lot of pats on the backs. Now he potentially could be an opponent. Canelo's starting to dial back a little bit and starting to throw a few shots out there. Hey, look, I mean, I don't mind it, man. I like this. I like the idea of this. This would be the biggest fight in boxing for a few years if this were to happen. Canelo versus Crawford at 168. Look, I was trying to sell Canelo versus Spence at 164. So this at 168, and I think it probably, by the way, could be at 163, 164 would be just incredible. Incredible. All right, last couple of bits. I haven't forgot the giveaway. I'm not that guy. I haven't forgot. It's probably going to be announced this week. We're most likely going to make it a cash giveaway just because it's easier, isn't it? And yes, it's probably going to be £1,000 split into 3, so 500, and then 2 lots of 250. I haven't forgot that. All right, anything else? I think that is it. Yeah, I think that is it. We will catch up in the week. There's other little bits here, but we'll just talk about them in a week. Peace and love.